How'd do? How are you doing? We are just about back to where we were before the wind huffed and puffed and took our carport down. Anyway, I just want to take a second to thank you. Yeah, you, for coming by our little channel here, checking out, seeing what we're doing. Whether you've been watching us for a while now or you just stumbled across us, thanks. The farmer in.
Liddell.
The farmer in.
Liddell.
Hi-ho, da dirty do, the farmer in.
Liddell.
Hopefully we can at least entertain you and maybe even inspire you to try something that you've been thinking about. Because if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me, it ain't that hard. Anyway, let's take a look at what we are trying to do today. Okay, so as I was saying, we are almost back to where I was right after we got the rest of the carport or le cheminée. Yeah. Anyway, that pile right there is what's left of the carport that used to be right here. If I remember to do it, I'll put a picture up of what it once looked like. Wow, if I could talk, this would go much better. Thank you, lovely assistant. Oh, you whacked your head too.
This truck, I tell you what.
I know, it likes to eat foreheads, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, we rebuilt the wall, got some vapor barrier put up. That wasn't there before. Anyhow, I also, oh, look at that shadow. Right there, and then down yonder are the footings that we poured so that we can put these posts into something other than dirt, because that was part of the problem before. The posts were rotted off. Everything was just kind of sitting there. The wind was gentle. It didn't destroy too much. It didn't tear up any of the metal, but it did pull out the header that was once there. It was put in with smooth shank nails and not enough of them. Now we got some GRKs, or big old monster lag bolts. I mean, these things are kaha. Anyway, it's all tight in there real nice and girthy like. And today I'm going to try and get these posts set. Hopefully get some 2x6s pocketed into them, and maybe even some diagonals coming up and down and whatnot to kind of sturdify it this way. Yeah, sturdify. That's a made up word, I bet. Anyhow, you know what I mean. Let's get going. I set up the laser level and I know how tall these posts need to be. So I'm going to cut a little pocket into them so that one 2x6 will be sitting in the pocket, and then the outside one will be lagged to the outside and down just a scooch because of the angle of the roof joist. You'll see what I mean. Okay, that is taking the place by a 2x6, or will be replaced. It's going to sit right here. Okay, so where the bolt is on the bottom of those brackets is sticking up ever so much. So I'm going to smack it on the top. That'll make a mark on the bottom, and then I'll drill it out. Right there by the end of my finger, that is the center of the bolt. So I'm going to drill 1.5 inches paddle drill. I don't know what they're called. Anyway, drills a big hole. And now we'll do the same thing again right here. That's kind of worrisome that one is so much shorter than the other. Guess I must have had a 10-footer that got cut down. Something. We'll have to pull this one out a little bit when I put the joist on. The holes in the center of that bracket overlap, and the center one was not quite so overlapped, so when I did it, it pulled. But it doesn't take much to lean it out a little bit, and I'd rather have it leaning in some so that it can push out versus the other way around, and we'll put a string lane on it when that time comes. Now, the 2x6s that I have are not cut to length for either direction, and unfortunately, I used some of what I needed out here and there, and I haven't had a chance to go back to the lumber store. So I'm going to end up cutting some off that are a lot longer than I'd really like to cut off, but I don't need them for anything else, so not hurting anything. They're just going to look silly for a bit. That doesn't look sketchy at all, does it? Okay, I've got that one locked in, so it can't go anyway this way. These 2x6s are really wet and now frozen. So when I set that on there and then started bumping it around, it overrode. It was stronger than the little screws at the other end. So later on I'll be cutting some of that off, but I haven't done all the math and squared it all up with up here. We're going to come out as far as we can with a rafter or a joist. We'll get that square between the two, and then I'm going to cantilever. This will be cantilevered over the post, but I'm also going to put like called? Anyway, a soffit? No, that's not it. Anyway, it's gonna hang past that last one because of the way the roof comes down over here. I'll show you in a minute. And it'll make more sense when we get there. But for right now, we're gonna get it done. So these are the Mamba Jumbas I was talking about. That's a lot more thread than you're gonna get on a lag bolt. That head's a whole lot bigger, and these are considered a structural screw. Now, because we're close to the edge, I'm gonna come at this one from an angle. Starting end's kind of square, and then I'll angle it over. Not totally flush on the one side, but it digs in because of the cleats on the underside. That does not look right. Wow. I did say anybody can do this, right? Okay, so that difference right there, you know, the concerning part, that's 5.5 inches. You know how tall a 2x6 is? 5.5 inches. I made my mark all the way around where I was supposed to be making the bottom of the saddle. So thankfully, that post is still too long. So we get to cut the saddle back in the right spot. All right, let me show you what I was talking about, lowering it in and not being flush. Okay, the lighting isn't the greatest, but see how this one, it actually countersinks it in. It's not totally flush right here. This one's closer, but anyway, there's some serrations on the back side of those. I'll show you here in just a second. So it kind of bores it in, but it makes it so it's super tight fit. Those right there are the serrations I was talking about. So as it's spinning in, it's just boring that wood out. Pretty good deal. So I've got these pieces of pressure treated that I already had that were 2 feet long. I have one extra 4x4. My mouth is frozen. Anyway, they're 2 feet long. I'm gonna need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because there's 3 posts. Anyway, so technically, I guess I could have maybe got them, well, no, I could have got them all out of that one, but I had these to make a short story long. Anyhow, I pocketed this side out, created a little bit of a saddle so that we can put them up here, like so. And that will just further keep this thing from doing this once this is gone. I'm gonna leave it up there for right now. But I'll get all of these cut. You don't want to watch me do these over and over again. It's the same thing. It took me a couple of tries to get this just so I did that off camera because it makes it look more fun. Anyway, we'll get this one put up and then I'll bring you back after I get some other measurements figured out so that we can start hanging, hopefully, the roof joists. First I need a screw gun. Alright, we'll get a couple of these started because once I'm holding it up there, I won't be able to grab it with my hands. So I made a mark at 16 inches down from the bottom of this so that they're all the same. Okay. Now we'll get the big mama jumbas again. Oh yeah. And then this one, I'm going to go in that way. Oy. Juicy. All right. Yeah, buddy. That should keep it from going anywhere. And like I said, we'll get one going that way and then on down the road. But anyhow, yeah, coolio. I'll bring you right back.
Oh, there's 4 of the 6 and the cross brace still.
Okay, so using the old 3-4 triangle thing, I went 6 feet out this way, 8 feet out that way, and then from that point to that point should be 10 feet. That's how I got that square, and that brought it down to this section right here. And now that I have that on there, I can use all these Simpson tie things and get it all laid out, and boop, 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 boop. We'll start doing the layout and then do the same thing over here with all of the brackets. And I'm going to build a little fixture so that it sets at just the right height, because on this one I'm going to have to move it. If you look right there, see how it's sticking up? So anyway, we'll get that took care of, and then I've got to pick up the actual, they make like, oh come on, oh it's cold out here. Anyway, for these screws right here, they make Simpson Tie makes one, but there's other brands too. But anyway, Tico nails is what we used to use, but I'd rather use the screws. Anyway, it's getting dark. We'll get back after this tomorrow when it's not frozen out, maybe. Well, it is a new day, and I already got some of these roof joists. That's what I'm going to call them, roof joists. Big long 2x6s. Anyway, I already got a bunch of them up because if I didn't do it before I put a tripod out, I'd have hit the tripod with them. So anyway, let me show you what we got. So the roof is, the metal roofing is sticking up kind of funny right there because I need to come in and cut it right there so that it'll lay back down. But this is what I was trying to explain. I think it's called a ladder. But anyway, so what I did is wow, I'm going into the sun here. This may not turn out well. It's screwed in there, those screws go into that 2x4. The 2x4 is, as you can see, notched in to this 2x6, and then screws come in this way. So they're essentially cantilevering over the top of that one, tied to this one, and holding that one up. Man, I hope all that made sense. It does in my brain. But anyhow, Wow. So I've got half of these are all already up. And this last one will be the only one that is this way. Technically, it involves all three of them, but it's because I'm trying to go further past the door. So that's the end of the header. And then that one is hanging out cantilevered. So that's the point of all of this. And then down at the other end, it'll be similar to the same thing. But that'll more or less be so that when we get it out here, it will go hopefully to the edge of that. Otherwise, I may have to take that one back off, because it's like, if I do it the same as the other side, it's 32 inches from here. So that's 24, like, well, you can't see the lines, but I can. There's little lines like right there. That's 24 inches. So then 16 more, it may end up being sitting on top of that. So, anyway, we'll figure it out. I haven't got that far ahead yet. A lot of this stuff I'm kind of making up as I go along because it was different before. I'm trying to make it stick out a little further than it was. I've got some extra material to do that with, but I kind of sketched it out, and then, oh my gosh, I'm losing it, guys. It's cold. I got frosty brain. But anyhow, what was I saying? Oh, I'm making it up as I go along, kind of. I change things as I'm going because new stuff situation, blah, blah, blah. But I'll show you what I'm trying to make it longer for. So this little bit right here is where I can run cars out over this, and that's kind of like the poor man's pit for changing oil or doing whatever. I don't have a lift, but I do have this. It's not the same thing, but it does get you underneath of the car without having to jack it up, so it's under its own weight. Sometimes that's what you need. But anyway, that's not what we're working on right now. Anyhow, we'll get some more of these rafters put up and see what time it is. As you can see, I got long shadows behind me. Once the sun goes down behind the mountain, it gets cold fast. So we're racing against sunshine here, but let's get her done. So I came along and I marked every 4 foot on center so that I could run those 2x4s through like we talked about earlier. And you can gum through and mark all these and then use like one of those, oh, what are they called? Good grief. It's not a reciprocating saw, but anyway, golly, can't think of what they're called right now. Anyway, they go back and forth really fast. You can do that, or you can do it the way we used to do back in the 90s. You run your saw across it twice, the grain of the wood's going this way, and then you knock it out. Now, does that come down a little bit low or high? Yeah, it does a little bit, but for the high parts, don't tell OSHA, but the high parts you can just come back through. Clearance, clearance. This one all went low. This one, it's got a little bit. It's a worm drive router. Okay, these next ones are a lot more involved, but yeah, it's also getting cold. Colder. Hey, I will see if I can position you guys so that you can see how I'm doing this. On this side, the OSB extended all the way out. On the other side, it didn't so much. Yeah, it is how it is. Anyway, so I'm going to have to go in and cut this and cut it out so that when this comes over, this metal can be pushed up, and then I'll cut it off at the end, and then I'll do some flashing, and we don't have time for all that tonight. It's already getting dark. It's getting kind of cold. So I guess if you want to see how all that goes, you'll have to tune in next week. Anyway, I guess we'll wrap it up right here because my nose is running. I'm getting cold. I can't think right, and I don't want to just keep going and pushing through and I'm not thinking clearly. So, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate everybody that's watching. God bless, and we'll see you again soon. Okay, just kidding. It was bugging me too much. I pulled my big boy pants up, and I got it done. Let me show you what we did. One of these things. I don't remember what they're called still, but this is what I used. Tool. Anyway, set that down. And then we'll come up here, and yeah, I cut in here, cut it flush, and then cut it in there up high enough to where I could get the OSB to go across the top there. And then we'll deal with all this after the fact. But yeah, then I brought these guys back down. Well, that one with the notches is up there, but I don't know if you can see it because it is kind of dark, but right here and right here, right here and here, that's where the 2x4 is going to sit. It's just easier to trace them, that way you know it's the same, instead of doing all your layout twice and then hoping that you didn't forget to do the 3/4 of an inch offset, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, this time we're really done. So again, thanks for coming by, and God bless.